Hello? Okay, okay. So till now we've been seeing Hana as a database, and you learned Hana as a modeling environment, and you've seen about data provisioning onto Hana, and you should be able to do dashboards or with using Design Studio on top of Hana views now. So that's what you mean as a native Hana, using Hana as enterprise, where they would install Hana as a core database, do the provisioning of data through SLT or BODS or DXC, whatever it is, and then they get the data into Hana tables. On top of these tables, they do a modeling with all the views, and then they expose it for reporting. That is one kind of solution. Yeah. And next kind of solution is what we can also have it as BW powered by Hana. I would see majority of the case you would find this kind of solutioning, where instead of having core Hana, you would see BW on top of Hana. Because majority of the customers who are already running BW as their enterprise data warehousing solution, instead of reinventing the entire implementation again with Hana, they would basically need Hana for what? For performance. So they can just migrate their database of their BW system to Hana, then that would get their performance out. So that's where you see majority of the customers going towards that, because with less effort, they can get their return on investment. So when you have this BW powered by Hana, what happens is there are some concepts which are out, and there are some new concepts come in, and there are some new concepts which have been enhanced. That's what we are trying to touch. Only delta part of BW on Hana. We are not getting. I'm not teaching you about BW again about Infobic. Just assume you know BW. We are only going to touch out the new concepts what you'll have on BW with respect to Hana as a backend database. When you say BW on Hana, BW powered by Hana is all same. So you'll have existing BW, and you have that running on every BW should have some database. So instead of having Oracle or MS SQL, they would have what? Hana as their backend. So you get some new options again into BW. That's when we're going to look at this. Okay, this is what majorly you would see in the real time. Non-understanding program. Later you can have mixed approach where you'll have BW with Hana as a backend. You're leveraging both capabilities and BW capabilities both. Okay, that also could be the possible. Yeah. So as part of BW on Hana, we're going to touch out all these topics like Hana optimized InfoCube. So we have InfoCubes already, but the design of the InfoCube is changed now. You'll have, we consider them as in-memory cubes or Hana optimized InfoCubes. As a client, if I want to purchase Hana, what is my, that's what I'm saying. Let's finish off all this, then we can discuss on solution. Then you know enterprise Hana, then you know BW on Hana, then you know EC Hana, then you'll be in a position to do solutioning. Yeah. Hana optimized InfoCube. So you know about the normal cube, the extended star schema. Now the schema has been changed completely. No more dimension tables. Straight away factor will start connecting to SID tables. That's because of Hana. So there are two things here. One is, if you already have a new BW on Hana and every cube you create, it is by default Hana optimized cube. And let's say you already you had BW 7.0 with some other database, you created a cube. That will be a normal cube. Then when you migrate your database from non-Hana database to Hana database, non-Hana database to Hana database, then the cubes are still like that. You'll have to explicitly migrate the cube from normal cube to Hana optimized cube. So we'll have to focus more on how do I migrate the existing standard cube to Hana optimized cube. And one more point to be noted here is, say for example, I have BW on Oracle database, and I've got BW on Hana database. I've got two different systems. Let's say I built a cube with BW on Oracle. Let's say there will be normal standard cube. When I transport the cube from BW Oracle to BW Hana, the cube is automatically migrated. During the transport itself, the cube gets migrated. You don't need explicit migration again. That's one more important point. You can explicitly migrate, but apart from this, if you transport the object from non-Hana database BW to Hana database BW, the cube is migrated by default during transportation itself. Okay. Then we also have something called HANA optimized DSO. We have something called HANA optimized DSO. Initially, when they started with HANA, they came out with HANA optimized DSO. Then now they're saying no more unoptimized DSO. If you have any, you have to reconvert back to standard DSO. So no more unoptimized DSO. And unoptimized DSO concept తెచ్చినాడు మళ్ళీ వద్దని మళ్ళీ back to normal standard DSO. Where unoptimized DSO is like you'll have normal new table, active table, but the change log was made virtual in form of a calculation view. So they didn't want to store all the historical changes in the change log, and they wanted to make it as a virtual object as calculation view. But later they realized that since the change log is virtual, they've got problems in loading data to the data mart, the performance wise. So again, they are saying no more unoptimized DSO, back to normal standard DSO. If you have been given any of these unoptimized DSOs available, you have a program given which you leverage and remigrate it back to standard DSO. Then consuming HANA models in BW. Let's say you got BW on HANA. In the underlying HANA database, let's say you have basically done HANA models. You create HANA models like attribute view or analytical view or calculation views. Can we consume them in BW? Yes. That's how do we go about consuming them? We have options like transient provider, or we can basically go with composite provider. I can also use this views into composite provider, or you can publish them as transient providers, or you can create a virtual cube based on HANA model. But if in BW, you can create a virtual cube based on HANA model by leveraging the models in the backend. That is other option. And I recently saw one more effect. When I have 7.4 with SP11, I could create a BEX query directly on HANA models. I could, when I go to BEX query designer, when I say create new query, I was able to choose my HANA models directly as an info provider. ఎట్లయిపోద్దంటే క్యూబ్ వేరే HANA model వేరే కాదు, అదో క్యూబ్ ఇదో క్యూబ్ లాగా. ఈవెన్ HANA models are also referred as another set of info providers for you. So you can create BEX queries directly on top of them also. I could see that also. Okay. Next, we can also import BW objects into HANA. For example, you have done BW modeling about creating DSO or cube, or let's say master data. I can also consume them or import them into HANA as models. Say DSO as analytical view or cube as analytical view, master data as attribute view. I can also do that. ఇక్కడ నాకు మంచి ఇంపార్టెంట్ పాయింట్ ఒకటి అడిగినాడు అనమాట. అంటే వై డూ థింక్ అంటే BW ఉంది, కింద HANA ఉంది, ఓడేస్ క్రియేట్ చేసినావు అని క్రియేట్ చేసి రిపోర్టింగ్ బికొచ్చు కదా, నువ్వు ఎందుకు మళ్ళీ HANA మోడల్కి ఎందుకు వేసినావు అని క్వశ్చన్ వేసినాడు. నాకు బాగా అనిపించు. ఐ థాట్ దిస్ వుడ్ మేక్ సెన్స్ ఇన్ దిస్ కేస్. ఫర్ నార్మల్ వాట్ యూ డూ, యూ క్రియేట్ a cube or you create a DSO and then a cube, and then you'll have lots of master database. And then to get the drill down on all your attributes, what you do, you make them as navigational attributes. So when you make navigational attribute, does it formulate an X table again? P table, X table, almost the size of X table is almost equal to the size of P table. Imagine I've got some 10 master data objects, and then you made navigational attributes from most of them. And does it formulate 10 X tables? Does it occupy a lot of space? And when I say HANA, your focus should be on using and getting high performance. That's the focus on. So am I formulating extra 10 tables of X table, which is almost equivalent to size of your P table. Master ఎంత size ఉంటే almost X table కూడా అంత size వస్తుంది. అనవసరం కదా. దాన్ని నేనేం చేస్తానంటే, I've got master database. I'll import those master data as attribute view. Okay. I'll import the cube as analytical view. In HANA model, what I'll do, I'll create a calculation view joining this analytical view with these attribute views. So when I go joining them, each column itself is treated as an attribute. There's no more navigational attribute concept. Every attribute measure ante. Malli dantlo different types of attributes, so different types of measures le. Measure attribute ante. So all the attributes which are coming from the mass drill down without leveraging X table. So is that an advantage of this? Okay. So does it make sense? I'm able to eliminate lots of database structures in the backend. Yes or no? Date of yesterday not received. Okay. I don't worry on this. BEX query has some disadvantages. Why on top HANA again we BigSquare has some, what disadvantages you feel on Bix? See, even though with lots of tools coming in, Design Studio or Webby, all this, BigQuery because even if you see now, they've given a Bix connection, 7.3 Java component, you can go with Bix connection, then you would do a Bix query and leverage it for as a source for your dashboarding or Design Studio or Webby, whatever it is. So BigQuery design will be the core of core object as data provider if it is from BW. Instead of consuming the providers, you would go with BigQuery because that will enable you to build complex calculations, RKF, CKFs, everything. It is really strong. And I saw in some videos the SAP saying that they would give a new version of query design again still. కొత్త వర్షన్ ఇస్తున్నట్టు ఇంకా ఈ స్టిల్ ఫోకస్డ్ ఆన్ క్వెరీ డిజైన్ బెక్స్ మొత్తం పోలేదన్న వ్యాడ్కి దానికంత వాల్యూ పోయింది కానీ బట్ బెక్స్ క్వెరీ డిజైన్ స్టిల్ హోల్డ్స్ ఈజ్ అ రియలీ స్ట్రాంగ్ కాంపనెంట్ యాజ్ అ సోర్స్ ప్రొవైడర్ టు ఆల్ అదర్ కాంపనెంట్స్ బెక్స్ క్వెరీ డిజైన్ రియలీ స్ట్రాంగ్ డిసడ్వాంటేజ్ అంటే మరి నాకేముంది నాకు అంత ఐడియా లేదు నాకు ఓకే ఇది ఇంపార్టెంట్ అంటే ఈ సినారీలో వాడు ఆ క్వశ్చన్ వేసినాడు ఓకే next operational and we have different solution connection like DB connect system with BAPI or flat file SAP myself all this and apart from this you will start seeing new type of connections now ODP SLT ODP ECC ODP myself ODP HANA information views and kotta solution connections we'll have to leverage onto that we have to understand we should start learning on how do I leverage this ODP data sources with ODP solution connections దీని అన్నింటిలో ఐ ఫీల్ దీస్ టూ ఆర్ రియల్లీ ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఎట్లంటే ఈ పాయింట్ చూడు మళ్ళీ నేను ఆ పాయింట్ స్ట్రెస్ చేస్తాను లేదు తెలియదు ఐ హ్యావ్ ఈసీసీ ఆన్ హనా బస్ ఐ గోట్ BW ఆన్ హనా బస్ ఓకే అండ్ వీల్ హ్యావ్ సంథింగ్ కాల్డ్ హనా లైవ్ వెన్ ఇస్ హనా లైవ్ రెడీమేడ్ హనా మోడల్స్ బస్ సో వెన్ ఇస్ రెడీమేడ్ హనా మోడల్స్ వాట్ హ్యాపన్స్ in ECC on HANA, let's say I have implemented HANA Live and I have imported the ready-made calculation views which is already given by business content or SAP. So now ECC on HANA, underlying HANA database of ECC, I have got ready-made views. Now I would like to do a reporting in BW on top of this. Does it make sense to take this view as a source and do loading? అది ఆల్రెడీ వర్చువల్ నువ్వు మళ్ళీ వర్చువల్ అప్డేట్ లోడ్ చేసేది ఏముంది డెల్టా రాదు ఏం రాదు ఊరే డేటా లోడ్ చేస్తాను సో వాట్ ఐ కెన్ డూ in BW, I'll have a source connection of saying ODP HANA information views on it. So by using this connection, I can have my data source created on top of HANA information model in ECC. I'll connect BW and ECC with ODP HANA information views, and I'll create my virtual nothing but data source on top of those HANA model, and connect this data source to a virtual object called OpenODS view, and then do reporting on top of it. And virtual and fire query ultimately triggered to HANA bus. అలాంటి కేసులో దిస్ రియలీ మేక్స్ సెన్స్ అన్నట్టు ఏది ఓడిపి విత్ హనా ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ యూస్ అండ్ ఓడిపి విత్ ఎస్ఎల్టీ ఈస్ వాట్ ద సో సిస్టమ్ వెన్ యూ వాంట్ ఇంటిగ్రేట్ ఎస్ఎల్టీ టు BW. I told you SLT is like a middleware server which can push in real-time data not only to HANA, it can also with the latest DIMS 2011 it can also push data into what HANA as well as to BW also. So I can bring in real-time data into BW using SLT also. అంటే ఎట్లా చేస్తున్నాడంటే ఈ పాయింట్ ఉంది ఖచ్చితంగా ఓన్లీ కోర్ హనాకి వెళ్ళాలి అనే పాయింట్ లేకోకుండా నువ్వు హనాకి వెళ్ళు బిడలు హనాకి వెళ్ళినా అన్ని ఫ్లెక్సిబిలిటీ వస్తున్నాయి నా పాయింట్ ఓకే బస్ నెక్స్ట్ వీ హ్యావ్ అడ్వాన్స్ డిఎస్ వెరీ 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 ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఎట్లుంటుందంటే రంగు ప్రాజెక్ట్స్ క్యూబుల్ లేవు ఎయిదర్ స్టాండర్డ్ డిఎస్ ఆర్ ఎయిదర్ అడ్వాన్స్ డిఎస్ ఓకే అంటే ఎట్లుంటుందో 3 things మేజర్గా if you want to extract data and physically store your data into BW, and if you want to do data persistence in BW, it is either advanced DSO or standard DSO. So when to go for advanced DSO, when to go for standard DSO? If the number of characteristics are within 120, then advanced DSO. If the number of characteristics are more than 120, standard DSO. So you will be either using standard DSO or advanced DSO for data persistency. Okay. And if you want to refer the data virtually, then you will be going with OpenODS views. అడ్వాన్స్ డిఎస్ఓ ఓపెన్ ఓడిఎస్ఓ రెండు కొత్త ప్రొవైడర్స్ బోత్ ఎనేబుల్ ఫీల్డ్ బేస్డ్ మోడలింగ్ అంటే ఇన్ఫార్మిక్స్ క్రియేట్ చేయనవసరం లేదు డేటా సోర్స్ లో ఉన్న ఫీల్డ్స్ వాడుకోవచ్చు అన్నట్టు టు బిల్డ్ దోస్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్స్ సో ఫర్ వర్చువల్ if you want to read data virtual I use open ODSO data persistence is standard DSO or advanced DSO if you want to combine them with multiple kind of union or join I'll go with composite provider ante open ODSO viewer standard DSO advanced DSO composite provider reporting vikanam ante more simplified data flows ananga ee ods పెడతాను మళ్ళీ ఇంకో ods పెడతాను అని లే పంచాయతీ డేటా సోర్స్ నీకు ట్రాన్స్ఫర్మేషన్ కాంప్లెక్స్ ఉంటే యూ యూజ్ మల్టిపుల్ లెవెల్స్ ఆఫ్ ఇన్ఫో సోర్స్ అండ్ మేక్ షూర్ యూ హ్యావ్ డేటా ఇన్ ఓన్లీ వన్ టార్గెట్ జస్ట్ డ్రాప్ ఇట్ దేర్ హనా విల్ హ్యాండిల్ ద పర్ఫార్మెన్స్ నేను ఓడిఎస్ డీటెయిల్ లెవెల్ పెడతాను క్యూబ్ అగ్రిగేట్ లెవెల్ పెడతాను అవన్నీ లే getting what I'm saying so your architecture should be you'll use you'll have data source okay from this data source try to load into a write down DSO which will be considered as what corporate memory which will be like backup. From this data source, you build multiple levels of info sources if you have the transformation complex and load into advanced DSO or standard DSO depending on the number of characteristics. Suppose what I want to staging layer what you'll have from write down DSO, you'll have a connection to that the first level info source. If there's some data missing, I can always load it from this corporate memory to this target. Ante adi focus. Ante takkuva space tho manaku performance role adi Hana ante memory kabatti you should start reducing the memory being used. Do we still realize multi-dimensional reporting using BEX on Hana models, which are two-dimensional structures? Two-dimensional structures. If you're using star join, is it not multi-dimensional? If you're building Hana models with star join, is it not multi-dimensional models? Yes. See, BigQuery can design query on any of the info, whether it is two-dimensional object or multi-dimensional object. Shall we bring real-time data from ECC to BW using? Yes, we can bring in real-time data from ECC to BW using SLT. But you will not do in every case. In fact, we already had RDA, but how many customers are using RDA? Only in specific business reporting cases where if they really need real-time, I can leverage SLT connected to what? BW also. Anyways, you can connect to BW and push real-time data into DSO and do reporting on DSO or consume DSO as analytical view in Hana and do reporting or bring SLT real-time data into Hana tables. On top of this Hana table, you create a model and you consume this model as in BW as provider and do it. Any way you can. Yeah. What is the purpose of going into Hana? Performance. Only one question is performance. Why are we going for SAP Hana? Performance. Ante kadana. And this is what it is: advanced DSO, open ODSV, and then what? Composite provider. Then Hana transformations using ABAP managed database. Now you've been implementing. See, focus endante. When you have BW on Hana, you must push as much as you must push the data intensive logic deep into Hana database. I told you, we can get the performance. Hana install చేసుకుంటే కాదు performance. దానికి పని చెప్పాలి. అంటే ఎంత వీలైతే అంత we have to push down the logic deep into Hana database. And one mechanism is transformations. So you build lots of complex transformations using start routine, end routine, all those stuff. If I'm writing with ABAP, is the logic getting executed in the database layer or application layer? Application. I told you with the new paradigm, we would like to push the logic to the data. And the application law same with the you will read data from database to application server, process the data, and then get the data back to database. So we want to eliminate the movement of data from in and out of the database. So what is that you want to do? You would like to write some code which is pushed to the database so that the logic get executed within the database. So database logic executed on the SQL script file. So we'll have something called ABAP managed database. In the transformations, you can implement a concept of ABAP managed database procedure, which is what Hana expert routine, where you can write SQL script in the transformations and push the logic of transformations deep into Hana database. If you're implementing transformation with standard functionalities like direct mapping, constant, routine, read master data, it will push into, they've got ready-made code written for all the standard functionalities in HANA. But if you start writing your ABAP with start routine or end routine or field level rules, it cannot push that logic into HANA database. In that case, you will have to replace that with what? HANA expert routine, where you will implement ABAP managed database procedures, and by using ABAP managed database procedure, you will implement SQL scripting, which will get executed into HANA database. That is focus. So with that, you can complex transformations can be pushed into HANA database, and you can get the performance out. Next, NLS, SAP NLS is what? It's a secondary database. Archiving could be ADK or NLS, nearline storage, where it will be let's say you've got BW on HANA, and you'll have second database which could be Sybase IQ or DB2, whatever it is. We have Sybase IQ installed already. Then what you do? Let's say you got a cube now with some 10 years of data, but you feel that we only do more of current 2 years, and the remaining 8 years not been majorly required. So all not really frequently used and unchanged data must be pushed into NLS bus. I'll create some data archiving process, and then I'll push data into NLS. Now I've got 2 years of data in BW and HANA, and remaining 8 years have been pushed into secondary database, which is NLS bus. And in the reporting level, I can control whether it has to read from NLS or not. And when I do a BEX query, it does not treat that NLS data separately. It treats as if it is a content of my provider. If you run the report for historical data, it will get from what? NLS. If you're reading only for current, it will get from the BW HANA. So with BW HANA, NLS implementation becomes very, 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 very important. Endukante HANA size ఎంత తగ్గించుకుంటే మనకు అంత మేలు. ఎందుకంటే it is in memory. That's the focus. So when they are focusing on migrating their BW systems to HANA, they're trying their focus is on reducing the data footprint size. Costly కాబట్టి they're getting onto cloud కి వెళ్తే size ని బట్టి లెక్క. So they want to reduce database. So they're trying to delete all unwanted data. They're trying to delete all the system tables, cleaning up, housekeeping activities, PSA cleaning, change logs అన్ని clean చేయడం. Then suppose if the data is really required but cannot be deleted, you push that into NLS. అప్పుడు NLS పోతే actual footprint size తగ్గుతుందా? Then they can reduce the costing even if they go into HANA on cloud also. That's all. Because in the cloud they charge you based on the sizing. That's what their focus. So NLS becomes very, 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 very important. Even before migration, they will implement NLS. Then they get to migration. Okay. Because migration NLS is now nowhere concerned with. Now even if I've got BW running on MS SQL, I can still have NLS solution. Yes. NLS కి హనాకి సంబంధం లేదు. హనా వచ్చిందో దాని ఇంపార్టెన్స్ పెరిగింది. ఎందుకంటే ఎక్స్టెండెడ్ స్టోరేజెస్ అంటే ఇప్పుడు నా పిఎస్ఏ టేబుల్స్ ఉన్నాయి, రైట్ ఆప్టిమైజ్డ్ ఉన్నాయి. ఐ డోంట్ వాంట్ స్టోర్ దెమ్ ఇన్ హనా బస్. ఐ వుడ్ లైక్ టు స్టోర్ దెమ్ ఇన్ NLS. I can mark them as extended storages, then they get stored into NLS, secondary database. అప్పుడు నా సైజింగ్ తగ్గుతుంది అన్నట్టు, హనా సైజింగ్. And ఇవి పెద్ద కొత్త కాన్సెప్ట్ లేదు. BW workspace is like you basically have your multi-provider and you want to expose it to the end users where they can customize their with local providers with flat files. They can customize, they can do reporting on their own. Yeah. And SPOs, where you basically split the data into multiple providers, multiple cubes or multiple DSOs. And then hybrid is where you can use in two cases. One is when you want to go with virtual provider, and one is in case of RDA. So you have got data source enabled for virtual remote access to a cube, and I want you utilize the same data source for even for loading. Then I can go with what? Hybrid provider. Then I got a data source enabled for RDA, which is pushing real-time data into active table of DSO. Then from active table of DSO, I would like to do loading into next level cube. Then I can go with what? Hybrid provider. And then IP, you know about integrated planning on BW. Now what happens if you implement planning kit in BW? You can push down the logic of planning functions also into HANA database. If IP, when you have IP, you have lots of planning functions running in. I can push down the logic of execution planning functions also deep into HANA database when I implement planning kit. Then we have inventory cubes. You know about inventory cubes, non-cumulative cubes, but how you implement is slightly different with this, because there's no more concept of marker update, no more concept undi, but there's no more checkbox you find in as no marker update or no marker update. It's all controlled at the DTP settings. And then you'll have something called SAP HANA analysis process. Is more of an APD. sorry, AP, analysis process and design, APD, and same thing you want to go with, we have HANA analysis process where you want to push down the same concept of data mining into HANA database by using SQL scripting for the transformations of data. Then I can use what? HANA analysis process first. Yeah? Then this will be LSA++. I told you about using OpenODS view, advanced DSO, standard DSO, composite provider, and simplifying the layered architecture, which is what we call it LSA++. అంటే కొత్త ఆర్కిటెక్చర్ ప్రపోజ్ చేసినాడు, అంటే సింప్లిఫైడ్ డేటా ఫ్లోస్ and as much as possible virtualization and field based modeling, and number of layers are reduced, and then you go on with composite, you go with composite provider with a join or union, and then reporting on top of it. That is will be your LSA++. And then database migration on HANA. This will be about lift and shift the database from non-HANA database to HANA database. So I've got BW running on Oracle. Now I would like to migrate this BW system to HANA database. How do I go about doing migration? And the SAP has given something called DMO, database migration option. And okay, he has given some software with some option through which you can migrate your databases. Very simple. Issue another simple. Issue రాకపోతే next కొట్టేది. Issue వస్తే then you have to analyze. Otherwise it's a own normal zip file install కొట్టినట్టే. Next ఇచ్చుకుంటూ పోతాను. పెద్ద కొత్తదేమో. You have BW on Oracle ఉందనుకో. You will install HANA database first. కొత్త HANA database install చేసి you start running this sum అని ఒక సాఫ్ట్వేర్ ఉంటుంది. You start running that sum with using DMO option. Next కొడితే HANA IP address చెప్పండి. ఏమని వరుస పెట్టి కొడుతున్నారు. అంటే it's about exporting this data at base and importing into the next database. అంతే అన్నట్టు ఇక్కడ ఎన్ని టేబుల్స్ ఉన్నాయో జనరల్గా ఏం చేస్తుందంటే ఇక్కడ how many tables we have, it creates one DDL statements. అంటే అన్ని టేబుల్స్ అక్కడ క్రియేట్ చేయాలి కదన్నా, ఆ టేబుల్స్ సంబంధించిన అన్ని DDL స్టేట్మెంట్స్ క్రియేట్ చేసి పోయి అక్కడ ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ చేసేసి కొత్త డేటా అంతా పుష్ చేస్తుంది అన్నట్టు. అండ్ దే ఆల్సో సే వెన్ యూ డూయింగ్ దిస్, ఇఫ్ దేర్ సమ్ ప్రాబ్లమ్ యూ కెన్ ఆల్వేస్ ఫాల్ బ్యాక్ ఇమీడియట్లీ. అంటే మైగ్రేషన్ జరుగుతుంది, ఏదైనా ఇబ్బంది ఉందంటే యూ కెన్ ఆల్వేస్ ఫాల్ బ్యాక్ టు నార్మల్ డేటాబేస్ బ్యాక్ అగైన్. వీల్ సీ మేజర్లీ ఫోకస్డ్ ఆన్ అంటే ప్రీ మైగ్రేషన్, ప్రీ అప్గ్రేడ్ ఎట్లా, ఆఫ్టర్ మైగ్రేషన్, ఆఫ్టర్ అప్గ్రేడ్ స్టెప్స్ ఏముంటాయి, then what optimizations can we carry out on the system which has been just migrated. ఇప్పుడు BW Oracle ఉంది, దాన్ని just migrate చేసినాం, ఎలాంటి optimizations we have to do అనేది focus. Using DMO shall we upgrade yes, database migration option will allow you three things. At a stretch you can do upgrade, migration and Unicode conversion also. Okay. BW 3.5 to 7.4 having data. No, you cannot. I cannot use option if your BW is 3.5 version. No, you must use normal software provisioning manager to upgrade it first to BA7. Then you can focus on using DMO. DMO can be used only when your existing BW system is BA7.x. If it is 3.5, it cannot be used with the DMO option. So this is what we're trying to focus, and now it is unoptimized info cubes. You already know about normal cube fact table, F table, E table connected to dimension tables, dimension table connected to SI tables, SI table connected to master objects. But now this is changed like this. You'll have only one fact table, F table. There's no more E table. It's only F table, and F table connected to SI tables directly, and SI tables connected to master objects. But you still have one dimension, which will be your data packet dimension. No more dimension tables, except you'll have only one dimension table called data packet dimension. Wherever a dimension level, you'll have only F table, no more E table, only F table, and F table connected to only one dimension, which is data packet, and rest all cases it will be connected directly to what? SI tables, and SI tables will be connected to your master objects. So that is focus. Okay, and I'll show you the description. We'll discuss. Compression in there. Compression ఉంటుంది. Now if you go to this is my BW system, and if you see this status, this tells me about BW 7.4 with support pack 11. Okay, the latest one, SP11, and then it says what is my database, HANA database, and what does it says? There's something like owner. Owner ante two things, schema and user. So until now you got BW application running on HANA database, right? So HANA is a primary database for BW now. So primary database, all the database should be in some schema, and this owner name would be the name of the schema in which all my BW tables would reside in. ఇప్పుడు BW and HANA అన్నప్పుడు ఆ స్కీమా పేరు ఉంటుంది కదా, BW క్యూబుల్ చేసినప్పుడు ఎప్పుడు చేసిన టేబుల్స్ క్రియేట్ అవుతాయి, యాక్టివ్ టేబుల్, చేంజ్ లాగ్ టేబుల్, న్యూ టేబుల్, ఎఫ్ టేబుల్, ఈ డైమెన్షన్ టేబుల్స్, all those will be getting created under this BW schema. ఇది అబాప్ వన్. ఇక్కడ ఏ పేరు ఉంటే అది అన్నట్టు, కంపల్సరీ అబాప్ వన్ కాదు, ఏది ఇచ్చే వాడు అదన్నట్టు. అదే పేరుతో స్కీమా ఉంటుంది, అదొక ఫస్ట్ పాయింట్. ఆ స్కీమాలో అన్ని BW రిలవెంట్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్స్ పడుతుంటాయి. నెక్స్ట్ ఇంకోటి ఏంటంటే, అండ్ యూ విల్ ఆల్సో హ్యావ్ యూజర్ విత్ ద సేమ్ నేమ్, అండ్ దట్ విల్ బి ది యూజర్ లాగిన్ which will be leveraged for the primary database connection. అంటే BW కి హనాకి మధ్యలో కనెక్షన్ కోసం అదే పేరుతో ఉన్న యూజర్ ఐడిని వాడింటాడు అన్నట్టు. ఓకేనా? ఎందుకు ఆ పాయింట్ చెప్తానంటే, నాకు చాలా సార్లు ఏదైనా ఇష్యూస్ వస్తుంటే నాట్ ఆథరైజ్ అంటే అల్టిమేట్గా ఏంటి, BW నుంచి కిందకి ఏదో చేయడానికి వెళ్తుంది, వాడు ఆథరైజ్ లేదంటుంది. ఎవడు నువ్వు ఐ లాగిన్ క్యూబెక్స్ యూజర్కి లేదని కాదు అర్థం. I lot of tried providing access to CUBEx యూజర్కి యాక్సెస్ ఉంటే కాదు, కిందకి పోయి చేసేటోడు అబాప్ SAP అబాప్ 1 అనే యూజర్ గార్డ్ చేయాలి, వానికి లేదు ఆథరైజేషన్. అది కాన్సెప్ట్. అర్థం ఆ మైండ్ సెట్ లో ఉంటే యూ కెన్ ఆల్వేస్ ఫిక్స్ ఎనీ ఇష్యూ. BW నువ్వు ఏదైనా చేస్తుంటే దాని కింద రిలవెంట్ గా హనాలు ఏదైనా చేయాలంటే చేసేటోడు SAP అబాప్. ఇఫ్ దిస్ సేస్ నో సబ్స్టిట్యూట్ ఆథరైజేషన్స్ అంటే వీరికి లేదన్నట్టు, మనకు కాదు. ఓకే బస్. ఓకే, చూడు SAP CUBEx ఇది మై సర్వర్. ఏ సర్వర్ ఏది? సిస్టమ్ ఐడి SP9, ఇన్స్టెన్స్ నెంబర్ ఏందన్నా 0. ఇదే కదా SP9. ఐఎమ్ కనెక్టింగ్ టు ద డేటాబేస్. If I go to catalogs, I see a schema of SAP ABAP. ఈ స్కీమాలో నాకు BW సంబంధించిన టేబుల్స్ అన్ని దాంట్లో ఉంటాయి. సో దిస్ విల్ బి ది schema which is the one for my BW. All my BW relevant database objects would be getting created into this schema. And we'll have a user with the same name. SAP అదే పేరుతో యూజర్ గార్డ్ కూడా ఉంటాడు. ఓకే, ఓకే. Okay, so I've just got this info. I'm just creating a cube. I'm saying create cube, I'm just using this copy and then so standard cube, and what did it say? By default, what are the cube you create? It is Hana optimized. Just using copy. I already have lots of info objects. I've just used them, which is already there. Okay, was fine. And will it still create the data packet dimension? Yes. But the question is, you don't have dimensions, right? There's no concept of dimension tables anymore, except in case of data packet dimensions. The question is then, why did you create so many dimensions here? Right click, you're still creating dimensions. What I want to say, that is no more of a technical restriction. That will be now the dimension just will be used as a folder to organize your objects. Ante anni info objects OTA block lo pettedanikante just grouping. So when you go to query design, you'll be able to search those info objects easily. Only like organizing folder tappa very game లేదు. Okay, Navas? Next inko point. Even though the dimension table does not exist physically here, still the restriction of maximum 248 characteristics to under each folder still holds good. The physical dimension కాకుండా ఇది like folder లాగా కదా, ఒక folder లో maximum 248, దాని మించి ఆ restriction ఇంకా అట్లే ఉందన్నమాట. ఓకే, ఇది ఓన్లీ గ్రూపింగ్ లాగా తప్ప వేరే ఇంకా ఏం ఎఫెక్ట్ ఉండదు అంటుంది. అసలు డైమెన్షన్ లేనప్పుడు లైన్ ఉండడానికి కష్టమే లేదు. Here there is restriction 16. Yes, you can only create 16, same 16 only. But dimension tables are not created. 16 fold, you can understand 16 folders and max 248 characteristics assigned to each folder. Our restriction in the yeah. And I'm just activating it. Here there is restriction 16. Yes, 16 dimensions. Yes. My cube is activated. Okay, the cube is activated. Sorry. The cube is activated. Generally, you can go to extras menu and say info status and say dictionary DB status. You see what tables do you / BAC / F cube 55 is what? Fact table, and / BAC / D cube 55P. What dimension is this? Relation ఏం లేదన్నట్టు. There's nothing one to many, many to many. There's no dimension analysis at all. You just only grouping కస్టమర్లు అన్న దగ్గర అట్లా పెట్టుకో, అంతే. నీకు సెర్చ్ చేసుకుని ఈజీగా ఉండేది అంతే. ఓకేనా బస్? అసలు డైమెన్షన్ టేబుల్ కాన్సెప్ట్ లేదు, నో రిలేషన్, నథింగ్, నో డైమెన్షన్ అనాలిసిస్, క్యూబ్ డిజైన్ అదంతా లేదన్నట్టు. ఆడుకొని ఇటుకొని వేయడం అంతే. ఓకే, even unoptimized cube will also have compression concept. See, you can get more from me if you ask me questions. Once I say the topic is done, నన్ను మధ్యలో అడిగినానంటే ఏదో 2-3 పాయింట్లు ఎత్తేస్తాను. ఓకే, కావాలని కాదు, ఎత్తింటాను, నాకే తెలియదు. ఓకే, సో F and dimension table is available. Okay, so can I observe this tables in SC11? Now, one dictionary at SC11, SC16, F, okay, cube 55, and big F 55. So you have this. What is that you see as a key here? Only data packet dimension. Then pattichukodu, no? And then you can see the data dimension. And no more dimensions. Now change in ID, record type, request ID. Yeah. ఇట్లా SC11 చూస్తాం or SC16 చూస్తాం డిక్షనరీ. సేమ్ థింగ్, ఇఫ్ ఐ హావ్ యాక్సెస్ టు మై హనా స్టూడియో, if I'm able, through Hana Studio, if I'm able to connect to the corresponding Hana database, which is the backend data underlying database of my BW, should I be able to see those tables in the schema? అంతే కదన్నా, SAPMవర్లో క్రియేట్ అయ్యాలి కదా. ఫిల్టర్ Q55. So do I see this F table and dimension tables? ఓపెన్ ఇక్కడ కూడా చూడొచ్చు. అంటే అల్టిమేట్గా ఏంటంటే హనాలో క్రియేట్ అవుతుంది, అది క్వశ్చన్. These are fact tables. What is key for Q55 P is what? That is a dimension key connecting to what? Data packet. Data packet dimension still holds there, okay? And all your SIDs, okay? So all your SIDs connecting to what? Straight away to SID tables and then through mass data objects. Data packet dimension normal. Data packet dimension ID, SID, change and requested. Clear is clear? Okay, good. Important point is what table is this? F table, right? If you go to runtime information, you will observe that this has been partitioned. Yes, you see this table being partitioned, bus, and you see 4 partitions: 1, 2, 3, and 4. Every fact table, F table, is by default partitioned with 4, and it does do partition of round robin method. Round robin and we range partitioning, and we have others, hash partitioning. Yeah? Here it does use round robin partitioning with 4 partitions: 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Okay, Ramesh? Now, what is the purpose of these 4 partitions? 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now look at this. Let's say you created an unoptimized cube and use data source transformations, DTP info package, and you're extracting data from some source and you're loading it to cube. And all the data what you load will get loaded to partition number 4. Any data what you're loading into the cube will get unoptimized cube will get loaded into partition number 4 always. Okay, Nabas? And when you basically compress the cube, then the data from partition number 4 is moved to partition number 1. So partition number 4 will store all the uncompressed data which is loaded, and partition number 1 will store all the compressed records or compressed requests. Okay, Rana? Then what is 2 and what is 3? And partition number 2 and 3 will be leveraged only in case of non-cumulative cubes, or when you deal with like inventory cubes. Partition number 2 and 3 will be used only for in case of non-cumulative cubes, where look at this now. You will have initial stock and you will have movements, yeah? And initial stock will get into partition number 2, and all the movements will get into partition number 3. See, normal loading just first 4 ki veltundi, compression kottinapudu marker tho kotte 2 loki veltuntundi, without marker tho kottinapudu 3 loki veltuntundi. So 2 and 3 will be leveraged only when you are dealing with non-cumulative cubes. Adi 4 partitions. Ante literally logical ga ela artham chesukolante, you should treat partition number 4 as F table, partition number 1 as E table. Aa range lo atla kaadu artham chesukovante antavaru. Okay, boss, fine. Okay, Rana? Whatever, and major point to be stressed here, sir, partition number 4 lo undaniki 1 lo undaniki game what difference anta? And is my compression mandatory in my cube? When I'm dealing with BW and Hana, is my compression so important for me for query performance? Ane question. Varemantante nu cheppina kadanna Hana detail kuda chusukuntundani, మరి compression enduku cheyala అనేది question. You got the point? When you're loading, data is getting into 4, and if I'm not compressing at all, it is still in the 4th block itself. And only when I partition, data gets in. Only when I compress in the cube, it gets into partition number 1. 4 nunchi records aggregate chesi 1 leg పెడుతుంటుంది. ఇక్కడ క్వశ్చన్ ఏమంటే, when you're using Hana as a database, it can handle the data in any, if it is in any detailed format. అంటే instead of having 10 records, even the split across 100 records కూడా Hana handle చేస్తున్నది అన్న, నువ్వు కంప్రెషన్ ఎందుకు చేస్తున్నావు అనేది క్వశ్చన్. సో ఆ పాయింట్ చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్. Here in BW and Hana, we are not compressing the cube to improve query performance. We are not compressing to improve the performance of query performance. Query performance కోసం compress చేయడం లే. ఒక పాయింట్ ఏమంటే టు రెడ్యూస్ ద డేటా వాల్యూమ్ ఇన్ ద క్యూబ్. క్యూబ్ లో డేటా వాల్యూమ్ తగ్గించుకోవడం ఒక బెనిఫిట్. ఇంకో బెనిఫిట్ ఏమంటే టు ఇంప్రూవ్ ద పర్ఫార్మెన్స్ ఆఫ్ డెల్టా మర్జ్. బికాస్ ఎఫ్ టేబుల్ అన్ని ఆల్మోస్ట్ ఇట్స్ all the tables which gets created in the backend for F table, DSO tables, active table, anni F column store tables. So if it is column store tables, do we have merging triggered always? అది ఆటం నువ్వు ట్రిగర్ చేయకుండా సిస్టమ్ కొడితే క్రిటికల్ మర్జ్ ఆటో మర్జ్ ఏదైనా కావచ్చు, బట్ మర్జింగ్ అయితే ఉంటుంది. ఇట్లా మర్జింగ్ మర్జింగ్ ఉన్నప్పుడు ఏంది, ఐ ఆల్రెడీ టోల్డ్ యూ మర్జింగ్ ఇస్ స్పెసిఫిక్ ఈచ్ పార్టీషన్. Every partition will have main table, delta table, main table, delta table, main table, delta table. 4 partitions ante you will have 4 main tables, 4 delta tables. And when you load data into the cube, it does fill all the data into what? Delta table of which partition? 4th partition. When you do merging, data from delta table of 4th partition will is moved into what? Data of main partition of 4th block. No compression చేయలే. ఇప్పుడు ఫస్ట్ 1 మిలియన్ రికార్డ్స్ లోడ్ చేసినాం. ఆ 1 మిలియన్ ఎక్కడ ఉన్నాయి? పార్టీషన్ నెంబర్ 4లో ఉన్నాయి. మళ్ళీ 2 మిలియన్ రికార్డ్స్ లోడ్ చేసినాం. ఇప్పుడు కంప్రెషన్ ఇప్పుడు నువ్వు మర్జింగ్ కొడితే డస్ మై మర్జింగ్ ప్లే ఆన్ 3 మిలియన్ రికార్డ్స్ కదా? అట్లా కాకుండా నేనేం చేసింటా అంటే ఫస్ట్ 1 మిలియన్ వచ్చి కంప్రెషన్ కొట్టేస్తే అప్పుడు ఏమైతే ఆ 1 మిలియన్ ఎక్కడ పోయింటుంది? పార్టీషన్ నెంబర్ 1 లేక వెళ్ళిపోయింటుంది. ఇప్పుడు నువ్వు కొత్తగా 2 మిలియన్ రికార్డ్స్ లోడ్ చేసి ఇప్పుడు మర్జ్ కొట్టరా అంటే పార్టీషన్ 1 కి మర్జింగ్ జరగాలి, పార్టీషన్ 2 కూడా మర్జింగ్ జరగాలి, బట్ ఇట్ పార్టీషన్ 4 కి, బట్ ఇట్ డస్ ఓన్లీ మర్జింగ్ ఫర్ దోస్ పార్టీషన్ వేర్ దేర్ సమ్ న్యూ డేటా లోడెడ్. పార్టీషన్ 1 లో ఆల్రెడీ పాత డేటా కాబట్టి కొత్త డేటా ఏం రాలే కాబట్టి దానికి ఏం కొట్టదు. మర్జింగ్ యూ డన్ ఓన్లీ ఫర్ విచ్ బ్లాక్? ఓన్లీ ఫర్ 4th partition, ఓన్లీ ఫర్ హౌ మెనీ రికార్డ్స్? దోస్ 2 మిలియన్ రికార్డ్స్ వాట్ యూ జస్ట్ లోడెడ్. సో వెన్ ఐ డూ కంప్రెషన్, డేటా వాల్యూమ్ తగ్గుతుంది. అట్ ద సేమ్ టైమ్ డస్ ఇట్ ఇంప్రూవ్ ద పర్ఫార్మెన్స్ ఆఫ్ యువర్ మర్జింగ్ బికాస్ ఇట్ హస్ టు డూ merge only on those records what is there in 4th partition. 4th partition ఏముంటాయి? అన్కంప్రెస్డ్ రిక్వెస్ట్ లో ఉంది. కంప్రెషన్ చేసే కొద్దీ పార్టీషన్ నెంబర్ 4 సైజ్ తగ్గుతూ ఉంటుంది కాబట్టి ఆ రికార్డ్స్ కి మర్జింగ్ జరగాలి కాబట్టి. అర్థమైంది? దట్స్ 2 benefits when you do. That's the reason we do compression in the cube, even though system is able to handle the performance of the query. ఓకే, ఒక్క రికార్డ్ తగ్గినా నాకు తగ్గినట్టే సైజ్, అదొకటి. దెన్ మర్జింగ్ కాన్సెప్ట్ అది. And what else I wanted to stress on? That's fine. SIDs are common. Okay. So you're okay with this? This is the case when you're creating a new cube. For example, I already have an existing cube, which is let's say it was BW 7.0 with Oracle database. I created all my cubes. Now with the DMO option, I've migrated the system to BW on Hana. Now when I migrate, all the existing cubes are still like that. I'll have to explicitly migrate those cubes to what? Hana optimized cubes. How do I migrate this? One second. RS MIGR Hana DB. RS MIGR is migration Hana DB Hana database. When I get in here, you want to migrate cube or you want to migrate DSO, what it is. Now you want to what? Let's say you want to migrate some cube. I cannot show you this, but in those system when the migration system I'll have to give the cube name and say what? Execute. And if you want to go with multiple set of cubes, you can just click this. You can list out multiple cubes. General real time application ఇప్పుడు సేల్స్ ఎంఎం అని ఉన్నారు. సేల్స్ క్యూబ్లు అన్నీ ఒకసారి ఇచ్చి దాన్ని కొడతారు మైగ్రేషన్, మళ్ళీ ఎంఎం ఒకసారి అట్లా. అదే ఓకే, ఇట్లా మైగ్రేషన్ చేయొచ్చు. క్యూబ్ నేమ్ ఇవ్వడం, ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ కొట్టడం, ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ కొడితే మైగ్రేషన్ అయిపోయినట్టు. అంతే, నువ్వు చేసింది ఏముంది. ఆటోమేటిక్గా ది నార్మల్ క్యూబ్ విల్ గెట్ కన్వర్టెడ్ as అన్ఆప్టిమైజ్డ్. ఓకే రమేష్. అండ్ పాయింట్ ఏంటంటే ఈవెన్ డ్యూరింగ్ మైగ్రేషన్ reporting is not disturbed. Even during the migration of the cube, reporting can still be enabled for reporting. You don't have to worry on it. But data management is not allowed, like loading or deletions, all those cannot be allowed. You cannot do any data management on the cube when the migration is going on, but it can still be allowed for reporting on this cube even during migrations. మైగ్రేషన్ జరిగేటప్పుడు కూడా రిపోర్టింగ్ చేసుకోవచ్చు, కానీ లోడింగ్, డిలీషన్, అవి రోల్ అప్స్ ఇట్లాంటివి చేయలేము. అన్ని యూ షుడ్ రిమూవ్ దెమ్ ఫ్రమ్ షెడ్యూల్, ఓన్లీ దెన్ యూ గో విత్ మైగ్రేషన్. ఇది ఒక్క పాయింట్ అసలు మన కరెక్టా? వాట్ డు యు మీన్ బై సింప్లిఫైడ్ మోడలింగ్? Now see, if it is without HANA, we were doing lots of analysis on one-to-one dimension analysis, దీనికి దాని cardinality పెరుగుతుంది. We were mainly worried about the cardinality of the dimension tables and looking at assigning characteristics in different dimensions. But now there's no point in analyzing any dimension size because dimension tables are not physically created. Physical and dimension table concept is so a fact table straight away connected to what SIDs. So now I don't have to do any analysis. Straight away assign some characteristics to folder 1, folder 2. So simplified modeling and simplified remodeling also. ఇప్పుడు BW without HANA database లో, let's say there is a cube where there is a lot of data is already loaded. Can I add an extra characteristic to it? Cube ఉంది, క్యూబ్ లో డేటా చాలా లోడ్ అయిందన్న, ఇప్పుడు కొత్త క్యారెక్టరిస్టిక్ యాడ్ చేయాలి, చేయొచ్చు. కానీ ఉన్న క్యారెక్టరిస్టిక్ డిలీట్ చేయొచ్చా? చేయలేము. కానీ ఇప్పుడు ఈడ్ చేయొచ్చు. It is more simplified remodeling. You can do either add characteristic, delete characteristic, replace anything can be done with the remodeling option. It's more simplified remodeling. And the dimension table is కాబట్టి ఒక తీసి పెట్టడం టేబుల్ లాగా. You treat the cube as normal table. Table లో డేటా ఉన్న కాలం తీసేయచ్చా? అంతే, తీసేయచ్చు అంతే. డైమెన్షన్స్ అప్పుడు ఉండింది కాబట్టి లింకింగ్ క్యారెక్టరిస్టిక్ బీకితే ఆ డైమెన్షన్ టేబుల్ డేటా మళ్ళీ రీజనరేట్ చేయాలి కాబట్టి అది తీసి లేకుండా ఇప్పుడు పీకేయచ్చు. ఓకే. And it says faster loading. Instead of generating dimension IDs and then inserting dimension IDs into fact table, straight away what I'm doing, I'm using SIDs into the fact table. So will it speed up the process? Dimension ID generation అనే కాన్సెప్ట్ లేదు కాబట్టి లోడింగ్ పర్ఫార్మెన్స్ పెరుగుతుంది. ఓకే. అంటే ఇంకోటి దిస్ వన్ డైమెన్షన్ టేబుల్ కూడా డేటా ప్యాకెట్ కదా, అసలు అది పెట్టుకోవడానికి రీజన్ ఏమంటే రిక్వెస్ట్ వైజ్ డిలీషన్ ఎనేబుల్ చేయడానికి. If I don't have data packet dimension also, I cannot recognize which records belongs to which request. That's the reason we're going with what? Data packet dimension. Data packet dimension ఉండడం వల్ల we still have the what ఏమంటారంటే ఇలా అనుకున్నాను. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ డైమెన్షన్ ఉంది, I have got customer assigned to the dimension and you're loading 1 million records. ప్రతి రికార్డ్కి సపరేట్ కస్టమర్. ఆ డైమెన్షన్ టేబుల్ ఎన్ని సైజ్ ఉంటుంది, ఎన్ని రికార్డ్స్ ఉంటాయమ్మా? 1 million ఉంటాయి. ఎందుకంటే ఫర్ ఈచ్ కస్టమర్ ఇట్ జనరేట్స్ 1 డైమెన్షన్ ఐడి. అదే డేటా ప్యాకెట్ డైమెన్షన్ ఎన్ని రికార్డ్స్ ఉంటాయని మిలియన్స్ లోడ్ చేయి. అల్టిమేట్ ఒకే రిక్వెస్ట్ అన్ని రికార్డ్స్ ఒక రిక్వెస్ట్ నెంబర్ జనరేట్ అవుతుంది. అదే వాడు ఏమిటంటే generally the size of the data packet dimension is not so huge because for all the records you load it just generates 1 dimension ID. So having that will not really cause any damage to the database sizing. So if you have it, we'll have the better performance on deletion of the data by request. పెట్టుకోవడం వల్ల డేటాబేస్ సైజ్ పెరగడం, ఎందుకంటే ఎన్ని మిలియన్స్ ఆఫ్ రికార్డ్స్ లోడ్ చేసినా ఒకే డైమెన్షన్ ఐడి జనరేట్ చేసుకుంటుంది. అట్లా ప్రతి రిక్వెస్ట్ ఒక డైమెన్షన్ ఐడి అంతే కాబట్టి అది ఉండడం వల్ల డిలీషన్ బై రిక్వెస్ట్ చేసుకునే అవకాశం ఉందండి. Okay, and you can convert through this program rsdr_convert to cube in memory, or you can use this program tcode migrate db, and once it is done you can also look at the logs. You want to see the log of those cubes conversions, then you can do that in what? SLG1. After the conversion we use just like a standard cube. After good is important. So you migrate the cubes. Let's say I have a cube which is used in 100 multi-routers bus. Now once I migrate this cube, does this multiples get affected? No. Does the reports get affected? No, nothing. They work as it is. Transformations ఏవి inactivate game go. మొత్తం ఎట్లుందో అట్లే ఉంటుంది. You don't have to be worried about it. So after conversion, cube just as a normal cube. There's no need to change any load process, DTP, multiple queries. ఏది మార్చాల్సి వస్తుంది. As it is, they works. Okay. And during conversion, a lock is set preventing all maintenance activities and loading. Loading avarni cheyalem, but query on cubes is aware possible during migration also. ఇది చెప్పిన ఆల్రెడీ. ఇది తప్పు. ఇక్కడ నంబరింగ్ వేరే ఇచ్చిన. Partition 1 is compressed, partition 4 is uncompressed. ఇది నంబరింగ్ వేరే అన్న. ఓకే, I gave it wrong in this. So it is recommended that we migrate. See, unoptimized cube ఉంది. I want to migrate the cube to unoptimized cube. But before you migrate the cube to unoptimized cube, migrate those. If it is in 3.x data flow, you have to migrate it to 7x flow. Then go about migration. ఎందుకంటే ఏదో loading in contact data. The DSO classic ante mandi, DSO advanced ante advanced DSO. Okay. If I'm just creating the DDB for loading, okay, ఇప్పుడు అప్డేట్ లోకి వెళ్ళి ఇక్కడ ట్రిగ్గర్ డేటాబేస్ మర్జ్ అంటే once it is unoptimized cube, most of the operations of unoptimized cube are controlled the DDB, and you can load data through DDB only if it is 7 flow. If it is 3.x flow, you can't load with DDB. So unoptimized cube అయినాక దాని మెయిన్ కంట్రోల్స్ అన్ని DDBలో ఉంటాయి కాబట్టి DDB ద్వారా లోడ్ చేస్తే బెటర్. DDB ద్వారా లోడ్ చేయాలంటే మన ఫ్లో డేటా ఫ్లో ఉండాలి 7.x data. So you have to migrate those cubes from 3.x to 7.x flow to really have the benefits of this unoptimized cube. అంటే ఆ unoptimized cube కంట్రోల్ చేయాలంటే ఆప్షన్స్ అన్ని DDBలో ఉంటాయి మేజర్గా. You'll be able to load through DDB only if it is 7 flow. That's okay. Even if it is non-converted cube, we can also convert it also. Okay. Only one factor, we still have option to run compression from fourth partition to partition number 1. InfoCube compression is also executed as what? Unoptimized stored process. And even the compression logic, same about aggregating records, but this logic is not implemented as an ABAP program now. It is implemented as a stored. So performance of compression is also a lot better now. Compression is required to speed up what? We are basically focusing on compression to speed up merging, not the query performance. This is sizing gurinchi, but this becomes more only relevant for large and very large cubes. And the large cubes make sense, and a request greater than 0 partition and 10 to 50 million records are not a problem. 50 million records are partition. If it is more than that, then you need to start running compression. At the merging key, if the records is between 10 to 50 million is okay. If it is more than that, then there is a problem. Inventory handling we can do. A new cube is okay. Every new cube what you create in so now I just create a cube, I never migrated. By default it is unoptimized. Any type of cube, not only the unoptimized ones, you have no longer need DB. Once it is unoptimized cube, no more DB statistics, no, because they don't even go with aggregates. Roll up house index, deletion index, create index, only AM level, and then straight away load. So if you already have process chains which is built for the old cubes, even they have to be optimized. You have to remove those roll up process, then deleting index, creating index. ఇంకా అట్లాంటి స్టెప్ లోడ్ చేయడం లేదు కస్టమర్స్. ఇంకా అట్లే మైగ్రేట్ చేసి పెట్టినట్టు కానీ దే నాట్ రియలీ గోయింగ్ ఆన్ విత్ ద ఆప్టిమైజేషన్. ఇంకా 1 year ఉండండి అంటారు. ఇంకా ఏమేమి ఆప్షన్ ఇస్తాడు తెలియదు కదా, ఒక 1 year ఉన్నాక చేద్దాంలే అన్నట్టు పెట్టారు అందరూ. That's okay. And see, if it is an InfoCube which is part of hybrid prod, we cannot migrate it. Okay, we can have cube which is part of hybrid prod which cannot be migrated, but and SPOs migrate just say anni kavu. We would explicitly list out all the cubes of SPOs to get migrated, all those cubes. Find what is good, find is wrong. Yeah. That's it. This is unoptimized InfoCubes. Now can we handle inventory management with these unoptimized cubes? Yes. And this is how we're going to deal with handling this inventory management tomorrow. We stop it here today. Tomorrow we'll focus on how do we handle inventory management with unoptimized cubes. I think the loading in I'm just triggering the load. No, this is not keyword create this the load. I just loaded this data into this Q55. If I go to my F table, will I see those 5 records into which partition? see record count. What is say 5? 5 in which block? Fourth partition. And let me just do the compression. But unoptimized cube is an optimized cube, whether it is 7.3 release or 7.4, any sub, it's all same concept. It's compressed, no assets. I see so I see those 5 records in what now? Partition number 1. Okay, Nanda? And you practice it, and tomorrow let's deal with inventory management. Make already tells you, but we'll see how do we implement this in this.